Britain and America have struck more than a dozen Houthi targets in Yemen overnight after a surge in attacks by the Iranian-backed rebel group on Red Sea shipping. In the fourth joint action, officials say US and British fighter jets hit about 18 sites across multiple locations. I'm joined by our military analyst, Sean Bell. Can you tell us what's been happening, Sean?
Yeah, good afternoon, Leah. I mean, this is the fourth joint series of attacks. The US have conducted several more, but overnight, the UK, the Typhoon Force was involved again, operating out of Cyprus up the north there. They struck 18 targets. There were 8 different sites. The targets included missile systems, underground bunkers, and even helicopters. We'll come onto that in a little bit. It follows the Houthi attacks that continue against shipping in the Red Sea, but also just late last week, they attacked one of the vessels, the UK-owned vessel, ended up causing a fire to it as well. Now, from the US perspective, they claim they've struck 7 anti-ship missiles that were being prepared for launch. All these attacks are coming from the USS Dwight Eisenhower, one of their nuclear power carrier groups that's out in the Red Sea. From the Royal Air Force perspective, the Typhoon Force seem to be targeting long-range drones, and these can be used by, so here's the Typhoons operating last night. The drones can operate either in the reconnaissance role or they've got some sort of armament on them. They can be attack drones. Now, these 4 Typhoons, they were helped by 2 Voyager tankers, which are there. One of the tankers to help them on the way out, one on the way back, because it's a over 3,000-mile round trip. And these Typhoons would have been laden with Paveway 4 bombs. These are bombs with a guidance kit on the front that can either home in on a laser energy, so another aircraft identifies the target and the bomb flies to it, or GPS. Grant Shapps, Defence Secretary, is very quick to heap praise on all those British forces that were involved in this attack last night.
But it doesn't seem to be working, bottom line.
It doesn't, and actually, if we're blunt, you know, the first phase was to deter the Houthis because it demonstrates resolve, it demonstrates the West is determined to do something about it, but the Houthis clearly are not going to be deterred. So the next thing is you degrade, which means now you start to take away the military capability to conduct these attacks. We're seeing here, Houthis have used helicopters to take over shipping, so by attacking the helicopters, it doesn't matter what the Houthis want to do, if they haven't got the helicopters, they can't mount these sorts of attacks. And that's why they've been targeting missiles, drones and the like. What's interesting from a military perspective is that you wouldn't have expected the Houthis to have big stocks of these anti-ship missiles. It wouldn't be a big part of their inventory. Besides, these things are $2 to $4 million a pop. And so you wouldn't generally expect them to have a big arsenal of these weapons. Yet, they've been using them regularly and they're being destroyed regularly by the strikes. You have to conclude that almost certainly they're being resupplied. These are Iranian missiles, and therefore the next step could be that the West starts to target the resupply lines. Of course, that has grave risks of escalation if they do that. So,
Sean, what do you think? What's your hunch then? What will stop the Houthis?
Well, having committed to military action in the region, it's clearly not stopping them. One of the things you can do is escalate from deter to degrade to destroy, and the military could now go on a destroy campaign. That risks a big escalation against the Houthis, potentially destabilising the region. The Houthis, meanwhile, have been very, very clear. Stop the war in Israel, between Israel and Hamas, and we'll stop the Red Sea action going on. But I think the big risk here is, frankly, the first attack that the West did against the Houthis would have been a surprise. Second, third, fourth, it starts to become predictable. The Houthis, if they could shoot down a Western aircraft, that would be a major prize. Importing surface-to-air missiles from Iran, setting up a sound trap, that's a grave risk. The fact that the West massively outguns the Houthis, I wouldn't put it past them that it's still a very dangerous environment for British forces to operate in.
OK, Sean Bell, always great to get your insights. Thank you so much. Let's take a look at today's weather.